Hero. Yeah. This was my first flight out of the city. My first flight out of the city. This was my first flight out of the city. My first flight out of the city. They be like, Riggs, why you loving like that? And when I leave, they was calling me back. My first flight out of the city. First flight out of the city. If I told you I was packing a gun, would you believe me? Good. I wouldn't either. Mama packing my clothes and forgot. Damn, I couldn't believe it. Now I'm being searched, they saying that it's standard procedure. And I'm nervous, body shaking like I'm having a seizure. Last thing in the airport you wanna see is them people whose bus fare ain't even fair. And not the one that escort people. I spoke to God and asked him to send me a sign. I walked away with no charges, worst thing was a fine. So I grabbed my bag and took a seat and just prayed. Couple hours fly by, now my flight done got delayed. Boarded the plane and I had to get a window seat just to see beautiful clouds at 40,000 feet. Asking God to keep me safe to Miami like I'm Big Willie. My first flight out of the city. First flight out of the city. So my first flight out of the city. First flight out of the city. First flight out of the city. It's my first flight out of the city. Yeah, they be like, Riggs, why you loving like that? And when I leave, she was calling me back. My first flight out of the city. Yeah, my first flight out of the city.
Cause I can remember my first flight out the city. It was a 2-hour trip, I had to handle some business to Indy. The combine, I had to go there and kill it, and so I did. Just to show some people that I was the realest, and all my dreams was right there, I could feel it. Like a director in the movie cast, I was just real and it felt fishy as I was in my stance, looking up at all the coaches thinking, is this my chance to prove all the doubters wrong, just to have me some fans? Do I see the finish line like the 40 I ran? These are the questions that I ask myself, and not to be worried about the fame, the women, or the wealth. Well, as I look back and I look at the crowd, all those doubters that was looking, they can look at me now. Shout out to the Steelers and Co. Couldn't wait to come home and tell my folks my first flight out of the city.
First flight out of the city. It was my first flight out of the city. They be like, Juice, why you leave me like that? Cause you leaving, they calling me back. My first flight out of the city. First flight out of the city. It was my first flight out of the city. First flight out of the city. It was my first flight out of the city. Bam.
I often feel out of place, but soon as I'm out of state, my lady question my faith. Common sense is erased, so I take the kush to the face. Ain't talked to the Lord in days, thank God that my brothers